As listeners, we want you to understand that the solution of business, tax, and legal issues depends on many factors, including local, state, and federal laws. Listeners' names and questions may be simulated. The show is not intended to offer business, tax, or legal advice, and Spiegel and Utrera PA, its attorneys, and Lawrence J. Spiegel recommend you seek legal advice from an attorney about your specific matter. AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today. There are only two types of people, those in business and those who wish they were. Join Larry Spiegel, entrepreneur, author, and managing shareholder of Spiegel and Utrera PA, with host Joe Castello, as they tackle issues and challenges associated with starting, expanding, buying, or selling your business in today's highly competitive marketplace. It's time to start or expand your business today. And now, here's Larry Spiegel and Joe Castello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today. I'm Joe Castello, and once again, we're joined in studio by entrepreneur, author, and managing shareholder at Spiegel and Utrera PA, Larry Spiegel. Larry, welcome back.
Well, Joe, thank you. I'm happy to be back. I'm looking forward to helping as many entrepreneurs out there as we can, whether they're starting or expanding their business in any way we can help them.
Well, I'm very excited, and we do have questions today. I know there are a lot of people out there who aspire to own their own business, get something going on the side, maybe in addition to their day job. It takes an idea, it takes hard work, it takes commitment.
There are lots of opportunities out there for everyone. All you have to do is come up with your idea and begin to put it to work.
Sometimes there's a bit of a hurdle, a problem may arise. And that's where we come in here on the show. If you've got a question about starting, expanding, buying, or selling your business, well, you can give us a call, 800-520-7600. It works just like a voicemail, so you can call anytime, day or night. Could be like 2 a.m., and I got a question. Well, guess what? 800-520-7600. Just leave your name and your question, and we may use it on the show. You can also email us, radioshow@AmeriLawyer.com. Larry, are you ready to roll?
Joe, I'm ready to go. I can't wait to begin to help these aspiring entrepreneurs.
Sounds great. Here we go. First question. This one coming from Art.
Hello, Mr. Spiegel. My name is Art. Last weekend, I went to a franchise expo. I was amazed at how many different opportunities there were out there. All these companies are advertising why I should buy a franchise from them, but I'm sure there's more to it. What kind of questions should I be asking before I commit a large sum of money? Also, is there anything else I need to be aware of before I take this step? Thank you for your response.
Well, Art, there's a number of things you need to look into. First of all, what type of business are you going to be interested in? As you say, there's a myriad of franchise opportunities out there. Are you willing to purchase a brand name, or are you going to start with some franchise company who hasn't been out there that long? Now, if it was up to me, I would never buy the latter. I'm only interested in purchasing a brand name, somebody that has a proven formula. The other thing you have to be careful of is whether or not you end up buying a job. You really want to get into business. We're not interested in just creating an employment for yourself. So you must be able to evaluate that franchise opportunity from the standpoint of how can I grow that business, and be sure that, as I say, you're not just buying a job.
Now, the idea of buying a job, it sounds like there's not as much room for growth. When you go in and you get a franchise, you want to take advantage of someone who has already done a lot of the legwork for you.
Absolutely. And one of the ways that you can dig in deeper, of course, every franchisor has got a franchise disclosure document that he's ready to give to you. Among the information in there are the names, addresses, and contact information of existing franchisees. You have to do this homework. You must contact a number of those people, and you must have a litany of questions to ask them about their business and to get feedback from them. Another question which I think that you should consider asking them is whether or not their franchise is for sale. You may be surprised to find that it is. And you want to find out why it's for sale and dig deeper along those lines. But from each franchisee that you speak to, you will educate yourself on the process of investigating the franchise. And from that, after you do this with a half a dozen franchisees, you will become an expert yourself. And you'll be able to use this same protocol with other franchise offerings. And so that I say to you this, that if you do this faithfully, you will know the opportunity when it presents itself to you. And because of all this work that you did in the preliminary investigation of different franchise opportunities, without a doubt you will know when the opportunity that's the right fit for you presents itself because of the work that you did in investigating the opportunity.
Art, best of luck with your franchise, and sounds like you got to get out there, you got to roll up your sleeves, you got to ask questions, you got to do homework, you got to be a detective and figure out exactly what opportunity is best for you. Next question, this one coming from Josh. Hello, this is Josh. I use social media heavily for promoting my business, Facebook and Twitter mostly. Recently, I became aware of another person using exactly the same name as me on Twitter. I found this out when I tried to secure my business name on Twitter. So I picked a slightly different name for the Twitter handle, and it was no big deal. After some time, I realized it would be bad for someone else out there to be posting under my name, so I contacted the person. After some conversation, they have agreed to sell me all the accounts they have created under the name. My question is, once I complete the financial transaction, do I need to get them to sign something in addition to give me the accounts? Is there anything else I should do? Thank you, says Josh.
Well, Josh, thank you for your question. Let's talk about the name that they were using for a moment, because in the Internet world, the name that they would have used is akin to a telephone number. It's unique in and of itself. So that when you acquire the name from them, one of the most important things will be, when is the renewal of this due? You don't want to lose your rights after you've acquired them. On your direct question, what I would want to do is get a written agreement from them on the purchase which would hold you harmless from any claims or demands that others may make relating to the seller's use of the name during the period of time in which you did not own the name.
Josh, best of luck with your situation, and we know it's growing out of control. Maybe we'll see these things develop over time, and I know I'm on social media, and it's just something that everybody does these days, but the idea of selling your Facebook page, I never even considered that. I'm sure it's going to happen in the future.
Well, everything has value at one time or another.
Just getting started here on the show. If you'd like to call in your question, 800-520-7600. That's 800-520-7600. Fire it off. Send one down on email, radioshow@amerilawyer.com, and we'll sort through them and use them on the show. But if you're cruising in your car thinking, you know, I've always wanted to start my own business and I do have some questions, well, we're your guys. 800-520-7600. We'll be back after this on amerilawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today.
Start or expand your business today.
There are some mistakes in business that may cause the occasional headache. Then there are some mistakes in business that may keep you up all night for weeks and months at a time. Avoid those mistakes by seeking strategic business and legal advice from a team of attorneys ready to help you. Spiegel and Joe PA's General Counsel Club can assist you with the tough legal and business questions at crucial times. Call toll-free 800-734-9900 to receive your annual membership and be entitled to get unlimited strategic business and legal advice for a year. The General Counsel Club can assist with how to buy or sell business, converting hobby expenses into legitimate business expenses. What are legitimate business expenses for tax purposes? Tips on leasing a business location, whether for retail, office, warehouse, or industrial. Leasing versus buying options for vehicles and equipment. IRS examinations, audits, liens, levies, deficiencies, and settlements of tax disputes. Knowledge is power, and knowing that Spiegel and Joe PA's General Counsel Club is one phone call away may give you the confidence to succeed during the day and rest well at night. Call 800-734-9900 or log on to amerilawyer.com today.
Got a question about starting, expanding, buying, or selling your business? Email radioshow@amerilawyer.com. Listeners' questions may air on episodes of AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business today. That's radioshow@AmeriLawyer.com. Now back to Start or Expand Your Business today.
Welcome back to AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business today. Joe Castello along with Larry Spiegel answering your questions about starting, selling, buying, expanding your business out there in today's marketplace. Larry, there's all kinds of things going on out there, and asking a question here or there might be very helpful to an entrepreneur.
I think it is very helpful because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and sometimes just a little bit of direction can go a long way to help you achieve whatever it is you want to accomplish.
You go looking on the Internet, you can find a million different answers in a million different directions. It's very difficult to decide what's right.
Well, not only that, but it's annoying sometimes, all the different information that's out there, and you end up more confused after having looked at it than you were before you started.
Absolutely. Let's get back into our questions. Next one coming from James.
Hey, my name is James. My wife and I have been married for 10 years, and we get along real well. She's been talking lately about two of us starting a business together, something we can work on together to help us financially. I'm not against the idea, but I've always heard not to go into business with friends or family. I've heard of lots of husband-wife businesses, though. Is this a bad idea, and how can I make it work if we do it? Thanks.
Well, James, thanks for your question. I don't think it's a bad idea on its face. It really just depends on the parties, the husband and wife. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Do these complement each other? How do they get along? You have to measure this on your own and determine that for yourself. I also wanted to address this issue with the question, and that is that many times a business between a husband and a wife can grow into a very valuable asset and can even become the biggest asset between them. And then suddenly there's going to be a breakup in their marriage. Does that mean there's going to be a breakup in the business? One of the things that I would recommend that you do before you even start the business with your spouse is that you enter into a post-nuptial agreement. And in that agreement, it would spell out who would get the business if there was a divorce, or who might buy the other party out in the event of a divorce, and also give a formula for the payout and payoff of the business so the other spouse could continue with the business. It's a complicated matter, but the courts generally will acknowledge these kinds of agreements as long as they're properly executed and both of the parties are represented by a lawyer. I think that that's one of the things that you need to consider if you're going to go into business with your spouse.
James, best of luck to you and your wife, and I've heard of a lot of successful husband-wife businesses out there as well, so I hope you guys become one of them. Next question, this one coming from Danny. I'm a musician, and I've started a band with my friends. We feel we have a great name and logo and would like to trademark it. I don't want to mention it on the show, obviously. Even if we don't make it big or anything, we think the name and logo might be something we could sell on T-shirts and gear and stuff. How should I handle this to first create, then protect this name and logo, which I can hopefully develop into a brand? Asks Danny.
Well, Danny, you didn't mention it in your question, but I'm assuming you at least feel like you're in some kind of a partnership with the other band members. I think that's the first step, is determining who's going to own what. Let's assuming that you are going to all own it together. At a minimum, you would enter into a written agreement, a partnership agreement, as it relates to the ownership of the intellectual property that you're developing. Now, the law does not favor partnerships either, so you have to be careful with that idea. One partner in a partnership can bind the partnership and the other partners, by the way, for unlimited indebtedness. That's why when we drive down the street, we don't see many businesses operating as partnerships. What you'd really want to do here is form an entity, a corporation or an LLC, transfer all the intellectual property into the LLC or corporation, Then have either a shareholders or members agreement that would look similar to a partnership agreement, spelling out everybody's rights, interests, responsibilities, etc., both to each other and to the company. Now, I think if you do this, you can all move forward with the marketing of your intellectual property on the items that you talked about, T-shirts, gear, and whatever else you want to put it on.
We always talk about it. Laying a strong foundation is one of the keys to a successful business. And in this case, it sounds like mapping out everything, where everybody's going to be and who owns the property, if it's the LLC, is going to be key, especially if they've got a great brand.
Well, what we see over and over again, if we take a group of people, whether it's a group is 2 or more, and then there becomes infighting with one person, it can create quite a problem. So these agreements look towards solving those problems before they even occur. Because if we're going to be developing a brand, we want to concentrate our efforts in that area and not be concerned about the disagreements that may arise between the owners.
Danny, best of luck to you guys. All right, one more question. We're going to squeeze in one more of this segment. This one coming from Robert via email. My name is Robert, and a friend of mine and I started an LLC together a while back. We had an idea, but we never did anything with it. It has been a while, and I haven't heard anything. Then I got to thinking, perhaps I needed to do something so I'm not still involved with this LLC. Is there something I should have done to end the LLC, and do I still need to do it? Thanks, says Robert.
Well, Robert, the LLC should be wound up through the process known as dissolution of the LLC. And this will effectively end your responsibilities with the company along with your friend. Frequently we see situations, however, where the parties are not communicating and they're not able to amicably dissolve the company. If that occurs, then frequently you would have to file for judicial dissolution of the LLC. The other thing I wanted to mention to you is that it is important to wind up the affairs of the LLC even though you didn't use it, because there's a lot of identity theft going on in the world today. And we see identity theft even at the company level, beyond the individual, where somebody hijacks somebody's company and begins to use that. Of course, it's possible in this case that could happen. If it was dissolved, you put it to bed and it's never going to happen.
Excellent, and I think a lot of people out there may have had that exact same scenario. Robert, best of luck. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this right here on Start or Expand Your Business Today.
AmeriLawyer.com.
Start or expand your business today. Form your corporation for as little as $104.95. Each corporation is complete and includes state filing fees, corporation records book, corporate seal, articles of incorporation, corporate bylaws, corporate minutes, stock certificates, preliminary name search, and attorney's fees. Spiegel and Joe PA and AmeriLawyer.com can also help you with assumed or fictitious business names, advising on legitimate business expenses for tax purposes, discussing the converting of personal expenses into deductible business expenses, assisting you in developing a service agreement for your business, answering your questions on the advantages of minority-owned business certification, explaining the differences between a corporation and a limited liability company, and the benefits of creating either a regular corporation, S corporation, or a limited liability company. Knowledge is power. Order over the phone at 800-603-3900. That's 800-603-3900, or online at AmeriLawyer.com.
Got a question about starting, expanding, buying, or selling your business? Call 800-520-7600. Just leave your name and your question. Listeners' questions may air on episodes of AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today. That's 800-520-7600. Now back to Start or Expand Your Business Today.
Welcome back. Final segment here on Start or Expand Your Business Today. Joe Castello along with Larry Spiegel. Larry, we're burning through the questions. Coming to your final thought. This show has blown by today, but these entrepreneurs out there, their questions, they keep on coming.
Well, Joe, that's why we're here. We want to answer their questions and try to give them the best advice we can.
Let's get right back into it. This one coming from Jamie. My parents own a sandwich shop and have been in business since I was a child. I have recently graduated and have become more involved in the business. I would like to expand and open other locations or possibly go into franchising. What should I do to start laying the groundwork for this potential expansion? I appreciate your answer. Thanks, says Jamie.
Well, Jamie, I think you had a two-part question there. First, expansion by opening other locations. So I'm thinking these locations will be company-owned. And to my way of thinking there, you have to develop the skills to determine what is the best location for the business, the expanded operation. The next thing that you would look into would be to hone up on skills relating to lease negotiations. When we're talking about scouting for a location, we would be talking about demographics. And there's a lot of demographics that are available on the Internet. Supposing you decide that you want to be in a freestanding building and you locate something, you can check out the traffic count for that location. And by the way, it would be a good idea to go to your parents' location, check out the demographics on that because it's been successful. And you would say, well, that is the minimum demographic information that I would need to have for my new location. Now, the next thing is lease negotiations. So you'll be dealing with landlords, whether you decide it's a freestanding location or it's going to be in a strip store setting. And you need to bone up on that because there's a lot of issues relating to leasing. We start out with, well, what could be the length of the lease? I'm afraid that the business would flounder. I don't want to be personally liable on a long-term lease. But the solution to that is to set up another company owned by the same owners of the current sandwich shop and do a long-term lease but not give any personal guarantees. But there are many, many other issues relating to that, and I wanted to move on to the second part of your question, and that had to do with franchising. So franchising can be a very expensive proposition in the beginning for a company to enter into. There's a myriad of legal requirements that have to be met, both at the federal and state level. However, there is some good news out there, and that is to look for an exception to the franchise disclosure requirements, both on a federal and state level. And there is an exception out there that's a glaring exception, and that is the partnership exception. That is where you enter into a partnership with your entity that you now have, the sandwich shop, and another entity, which would be controlled by a shareholders agreement, again, look much like a partnership agreement, and would allow for the franchise to take place as a partnership. This would give you a great deal of opportunity to see whether or not this sort of business model will work for you. And really, there's no reason why it shouldn't.
Larry, you mentioned looking up traffic demographics there. Where would people do such a thing? That sounds interesting that you can go out and find research your corner, your area. Where is that done?
You could just Google that, Joe. It's out there and it comes back. And there are companies that will provide you with a demographic package for a price, but it's a reasonable amount of money. And then by looking at what the contents are of the demographics package, you will readily see those things that are important to the selection of your location. So I would recommend that obviously you do that. Now, that would be applicable to whether or not you were opening another location for your business, company-owned, or you were thinking about the franchise with the partnership exception, because you're not going to allow somebody to open up a sandwich shop under your name unless you approve the location.
And I would also imagine you have to approve them, because if they take your name and run a terrible business, it makes you look bad.
Absolutely. In that vein, what I would be looking for right off the bat would be a copy of their credit report. They'd have to provide that to me. I'm assuming you're in a business where you're not a member of a credit bureau, so you really don't have access to credit reports. One of the requirements initially is that you want to see the potential franchisee/partner's credit report. That will give you a very good idea as to their character, credibility, and capacity.
Makes perfect sense to me. Jamie, great question. Best of luck. Can't wait to see how it all turns out. And that's going to do it for this week's questions. And now it's time for Larry's final thought.
Joe, I've been thinking about the final thought of the day during the show today, and I was thinking about achievement. Unless you try to do something beyond what you have already mastered, you will never grow. Successful people form the habit of doing what failures don't like to do. They like the results they get by doing what they don't necessarily enjoy. So try that in your daily activities and see if it doesn't work for you.
Get out of your comfort zone, folks. Larry, great job as usual. And to you listeners out there, if you've got a question about starting, expanding, buying or selling your business or legal strategy, give us a call, 800-520-7600. It works just like a voicemail, so you can call anytime, day or night. That's 800-520-7600. Just leave your name and your question, and we may use it right here on the show. You can also email us at radioshow@amerilawyer.com, and while you're on the site, you can check out more editions of Start or Expand Your Business Today. Larry, take us home.
Well, Joe, it's been a great show. Thanks to all our listeners. Keep those questions coming in, and always remember to plan your work and work your plan.
He's Larry Spiegel. I'm Joe Castello, and we'll see you next time right here on AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today.
AmeriLawyer.com, where understanding your business is our business.
There are some mistakes in business that may cause the occasional headache. Then there are some mistakes in business that may keep you up all night for weeks and months at a time. Avoid those mistakes by seeking strategic business and legal advice from a team of attorneys ready to help you. Spiegel and Joe PA's General Counsel Club can assist you with the tough legal and business questions at crucial times. Call toll-free 800-734-9900 to receive your annual membership and be entitled to get unlimited strategic business and legal advice for a year. The General Counsel Club can assist with selecting a legal and tax structure for your business, building business credit, when a trust should own your corporation or limited liability company. What are the benefits of forming a corporation or a limited liability company? What are the differences between a corporation and limited liability company? Using employees versus independent contractors. Knowledge is power, and knowing that Spiegel and Joe PA's General Counsel Club is one phone call away may give you the confidence to succeed during the day and rest well at night. Call 800-734-9900 or log on to AmeriLawyer.com today.